Welcome back to Almost a True Crime Podcast, a product of Bitch Pack Media. We are your hosts, Taryn and Madison. Listener discretion is advised due to the mature content and the amount of cuss words we say. You've been warned.
Hey guys, welcome back.
Hey, welcome back. It always sounds so disingenuous when we record back to back.
I know.
It just sounds so fake because we just said it.
I know.
Minutes ago.
Whatever.
So yeah, here we are with part 2.
I'm so thrilled to hear.
Of the Greggory of Murder Smart. That's what I wanted to say. Why? The murder of Greggory Smart. And just a reminder, in case you don't listen to the ends of episodes last week, we're not going to be here next week.
Yep.
It's our break.
Christmas break.
It's our Christmas break.
Our Christmas vacation.
We let loose and get wild. Don't work.
You're probably right. I won't be working.
And we don't know the results yet because recording's back to back. But depending on everyone's answers from last week, we might put up an old Christmas episode if there's enough traction. So if you want to hear the Covina Christmas murder,
which is honestly a really good one,
voice your opinion. Answer.
Don't give us your opinion.
I can't open myself up to that. All right. Let's get started. So I left off with Billy and Pete murdering Gregg, leaving the house. They pass Pamela on the street. She flashes our headlights like, hey,
boys.
Good to go. Thanks. So around 10:10 p.m. on May 1st, 1990, 6 days before her first wedding anniversary.
What?
That's how fast this happened.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
In my head, I was thinking they had their first wedding anniversary and then this was all after.
No.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
They're not even a full 365 days into marriage.
Nope. They surely aren't.
Well, they weren't going to make it.
No. That was clear. That was clear. So, Pamela Smart pulls up to her house. So I'm describing this in a way of when they were still pretending that Pamela wasn't in on this. Yeah. So if you think it sounds phony, that's because it is.
It is. It's all fake.
She says she thought it was weird that all the lights were off because Gregg usually left them on so that she didn't have to walk in the house in the dark. So she's like, that's weird.
Wonder why that's happening.
She parked in the garage, walked around his car, and walked inside. She said in the matter of a few seconds, she flipped on the light, saw the candlestick in the pillowcase and Gregg's body right in the hallway. Because they had picked up a candlestick and were going to beat him with it, and they didn't. So they ended up dropping it right where you walk in, because that's where they were waiting.
A pillowcase? Oh, they had it in a pillowcase?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
Or
bars
they had
of soaps in a pillowcase like that?
Shit like that. They had a bunch of shit going on. They're 15.
Yeah, they
had a bunch of shit. She screamed and ran outside, help my husband. She ran to nearby condo unit 4D and then to 4C, pounding on the doors and ringing the doorbells, screaming hysterically. One of the neighbors literally pulled her in through the front door because they thought someone was behind her. No one knows what happened yet. They think she's being attacked. She shouted, my husband's hurt. He's on the floor. I don't know what's wrong with him. During the confusion, at some point, Pamela also said, why did they keep doing this?
What?
I don't know.
She doesn't even know what to say.
No. By now, a half dozen neighbors have come out onto their porches to find out what was going on.
Oh my God.
Because they're
what a spectacle. It's a condominium, I bet.
Yeah. Condos. So all her
townhouse.
Yeah. So all her neighbors are outside what the fuck is Pam screaming about? At least 2 of the neighbors had dialed 911. A few of them stepped forward to see if they could help. One neighbor, Art Hughes, had been watching TV when he heard a woman's screams. Stephen Sawicki in Teach Me to Kill relates what happened next. She says that Art felt certain that her husband was beating her. He said, what's wrong? What's the problem? She said, my husband's on the floor. He asked, what's wrong with him? Where is he? Pam pointed toward her unit, and Hughes frantically ran out his unit looking into parked cars and all over the parking lot and the lawn, shouting where the fuck is he? Because he's thinking he's checking on this beat.
Yeah.
He's going to beat the shit out of this man.
Right.
Because something is clearly not right here. And she has I don't know if she's just oblivious. She's he's inside. I don't know if it's not clicking for her that he thinks that he's alive.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're not making that very clear. So he bolted up the steps after she said that he's inside. And then Pam starts screaming, don't go in there. Someone might still be in there. which is really smart on her part. She's like all in this. I like, don't go in there, so it might be in there. Like, So he goes in there. He pushed open the front door. He didn't realize there was another neighbor right behind him. And they both entered the house and saw Gregg lying there, just like Pam had left him. His body is still there. So one of the detectives, 28-year-old Daniel Pelliter, is immediately skeptical of Pamela. That did not come out great. I think it's because I don't know how to pronounce Pelletier.
Yeah.
Pelletier. Pelletier.
That's what I'd say. Pelliter?
That just can't be right, though.
Okay.
That's what I said at first, and I immediately messed everything up thinking about, well, that can't be right. So anyway, this man is immediately skeptical of her. She just wasn't acting like the grieving widow that she should be. She's not but like she was.
See, I always feel like, how do you know? Because like, you just don't know.
You don't know. I'm a very freeze up type of person. I feel like people think I was a killer. I just don't cry a lot.
I only
especially
cry
in front of other people.
Something really, like, really sad.
Like your husband being murdered?
I think yeah. I'm not sure how I would react.
So Pelletier said she insisted on an immediate interview. So Charwitz and I took her to the police department, and Pamela offered up the idea, like, this looks like a botched burglary. She said the first thing I saw was the speakers off the stand. So then Pelletier was like, the first thing you noticed wasn't your husband's body. Like, the first thing you noticed are your speakers are missing. She said, when I walked over to the body, Pelletier says this is another red flag. He said he gave her the benefit of the doubt, like maybe she was in shock, but why are you already not referring to him as your husband?
Yeah. Oh, man.
It's just so crazy the things that they can catch.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
check
this is
that
their,
box.
this is their
They
job.
they should be good at that. They also thought it was odd how much she was freaking out over her dog, which is
Listen.
that's a normal thing.
Yeah.
If you think someone broke into your home, burglarized it, murdered your husband.
You don't have children. Your dog is your children.
Yeah. Even after it was clear Halen was fine, she just kept saying she wishes the police would tell her how the dog was. Like, they must have kept the dog. Like, she knows it's fine, but she's still asking about.
See if it saw anything.
What did you see? But what really bothered him was a couple days later when they took Pamela back to the condo to collect some of her things. She was just walking all over the spot Gregg died, while everyone else was being careful to step around it. Pamela's mom had to lay a towel over the area, and Pamela still walked all over it. Like, I don't know if it was still visibly dirty. I'm sure it was. I'm sure it wasn't, like,
soaked
mess.
in blood,
Yeah.
but also, like, you know that's where your husband's body was.
Yeah, and she's just trampling all over it. On May 2nd, just one day after the murder, several detectives met to discuss their initial findings. One detective commented, I think she did it. However, they have nothing to go off of. They have no leads.
Right.
They have nowhere to even begin to figure out what happened. And they also thought Gregg's murder looked more like an execution than the result of a robbery gone wrong. One of the attorneys told Snap that everyone thought it was some kind of gang killing, like something to do with a gambling debt. Like, I think he did gamble. So I think some people are like, this does sort of look like a hit. But no one's assuming it's a hit coming from two teenage boys.
Right.
That is until after 2 weeks, they got an anonymous tip, which is not so anonymous anymore. It immediately comes out that it was from Cecilia Pierce.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it.
Her best friend, who said that she knew Pamela Smart planned the murder of her husband with 2 teenage boys. Then, on Sunday, June 10th, they got another piece of the puzzle when J.R. Latamy's father brought a .38 caliber gun to the Seabrook police station that he thought might have been the murder weapon.
Oh my God.
He had recalled the name Pamela Smart as a name his son and his son's friends had been talking about. Then he noticed that this gun had been recently cleaned, and he was not the one who cleaned it. So the detectives drove up to Seabrook to interview him, and J.R.'s dad said that Ralph Welch, who I mentioned earlier, that lived with them and was friends with them, overheard J.R. and Pete discussing their involvement in a homicide, mentioning Raymond Fowler and Billy Flynn. I was wondering why I brought up Ralph Welch in the last episode, but that's why. I was like, this man isn't involved at all, but he daddled.
He be blabbing.
He was blabbing. Welch then told they call him his surrogate father, Vince Latamy's dad, early Sunday morning. He said, I'd grown up with them. I couldn't believe my best buddies could do something like this. Billy's mom said that Billy was acting out at home. She said it was not that Billy was violent. Like, outside of the family, people saw him as, like, polite and charming, but there was just, like, the one side of Billy that he projected to people that, like, he wanted to impress, he wanted to be liked. And inside is where he took out all of his anger. Like, he was like a volcano. Like I said, when his dad died, he just sort of, like, whoop, shut right down. So she's saying, like, he's not violent, but he does have, like he bottles up.
Blow up every once in a while.
Yeah.
He's also a teenager.
Yeah. She believed that he had a lot of self-restraint, but he could become angry over the smallest thing, like making it impossible to communicate with him. So they soon arrested Flynn, Latomy, and the other friend, Patrick Pete Randall. This is so fast that this happens.
Damn.
The boys quickly cracked under questioning.
Oh my God, of course.
Immediately gave it up, saying that Flynn killed Gregg at the request of Pamela Smart, who was the 15-year-old's lover. So police could have arrested Pamela for statutory rape, obviously,
right.
But they're like, we can get her for something much better than that. Meanwhile, Pamela has a lot of misplaced trust in Cecilia, and Cecilia is quickly turning on her. So Pamela still thinks Cecilia is her friend. And Cecilia is the one who has, like...
Cecilia's like, you were cool for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Until I realized...
She's like, wait, I thought we were, like, hanging out. We would maybe drink a wine cooler every once in a while.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were, like, murdering your husband with us. That's not what I signed up for.
I didn't want that.
I want to ride in your car and go backstage.
Yeah.
So Cecilia did not want to turn on Pamela, but she turns on Pamela after Billy Flynn gets arrested. So she's like, if it's between you and them, I'm going to certainly tell the truth because it's not their fault. Detective Pelletier said the local news station then put on a story that the police were actually looking to arrest another individual, a girl. Oh, no. He says it was a completely wrong story, but it ended up helping them immensely.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Cecilia Pierce now had so much pressure on her that she thought they were talking about her.
Yep.
She thinks they're going to arrest her. Yeah. So she's like, well, fuck.
Absolutely not.
Certainly not. And the police didn't know this story was running. Right. So it really could have ruined everything for them if Pamela had caught on and if Cecilia wasn't so paranoid.
Yeah.
Pamela is just dumb enough to think she's gotten away with this. Like, they're certainly not talking about me. And Cecilia's just young enough to think that she has actually done something she could be arrested for.
Absolutely. Like, oh my God, I was hanging out with her.
Yeah, like, of course they're not talking about you. So Cecilia admitted she knew about the plot to kill Gregg Smart, making her an accessory to the crime. In exchange for immunity, she agreed to record Pamela Smart discussing the murder, taping 2 phone conversations and wearing a wire in 2 face-to-face meetings.
Oh my God.
Wires always get you.
I know.
And it's just so crazy. Like, it's crazy that sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Like, sometimes people know.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm not saying anything.
And then they're going to kill you after.
Yeah.
Sons of Anarchy. That's all I think about.
Don't do it.
Oh my God.
What?
I just watched a movie that had Juice in it.
Did you? I've
so
never
good.
seen him in anything else.
It's a new one. Juice in Aubrey Plaza. It's new. It's called Emily the Criminal.
Oh, okay. That's on Netflix, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Really?
And holy shit, am I attracted to him.
Still hot?
So hot.
Hotter?
Hotter.
What?
Well, yeah, I think hotter.
Well, now I have to look it up.
It was pretty good. It was a good watch.
Okay. So Cecilia's wearing a wire. This is going to be verbatim. Don't know where it came from. It could have come from anywhere because this is word for word what was tape recorded.
Yeah, so
by other people. My verbal parenthetical reference.
That's it.
She said, seeing what happened, wouldn't you have rather just divorced Gregg? She said, well, I don't know, nothing was going wrong until they fucking told Ralph Welch. Cecilia said, no shit. Apparently, Ralph Welch was talking to the police, like I said. He was interviewed by the press. He told other people.
He was just putting it all out there.
He was. Pam said, it's their stupid-ass fault that they told Ralph. You know that. And she said, I can't even believe they told him. Cecilia said, now they're in jail, and like every time I hear Motley Crue, I think of Bill. Pamela said, yeah, so do I. Tell me about it. That's the thing. I never fucking paid him. It was said that Pamela offered them all $500 apiece to do this. She said, somebody told me I gave JR stereo and stuff. You know, if they get certified as juveniles, then nobody will ever know anything. And they'll all be out in a year when they turn 18. She's like, got this all figured out.
It's like, it's really not that big of a deal.
It was one murder when they were kids. She said,
God.
She's like, but I'm just like, what the hell? I've already got the best friggin' lawyers anywhere.
She really thinks, like...
She ain't going down for this.
No. Fuck no, she didn't do anything. What do you mean?
So Cecilia said, you do? And she said, yeah, but they're fucking wicked expensive, but what could I do? Cecilia said, obviously you can afford it. And Pam said, no goddamn fucking way. Didn't I need them? But right now they don't have anything to do unless I'm arrested. And if I get arrested, then they have to do shit. So they can't convict me because of fucking JR's 16-year-old word in the slammer facing the rest of his life. So she's saying, who are they going to believe? Mm-hmm. A kid who's facing life in prison who will maybe say anything, or me? Well, my lawyers don't have a lot to do, she thinks.
Oh my God. This is insane.
Cecilia said, well, first of all, you didn't offer to pay him, right? And she said, no. Cecilia went on to say, so he's not going to say that you offered to pay him. He's going to say that you knew about it before it happened, which is the truth. Leading questions. Number one sign you're wearing a wire. Look for questions like that.
Don't do it.
So she says, right. Well, so then I have to say, no, I didn't. And then they're going to either believe me or they're going to believe JR. And then who will they believe? Me with a professional reputation and, of course, that I teach? You know, that's the thing. They are going to believe me. So,
oh, my God.
Delusion. Cecilia said, all right, well, I'll call you. Pam then invited Cecilia over later so they could go out together.
This bitch, your husband is dead. Your apparent lover is in jail for that. And you just, want to go out for a little bit?
Yeah. Pam jokingly says, you better be there. I'll come after you with my Rambo knife.
Read the room.
Pamela Smart says in another exchange between them that if I tell you the truth, you're going to be an accessory to murder. So she said, what good is it going to do if you send me to the slammer? Not knowing that Cecilia has immunity.
Yeah.
Wednesday, August 1st, 1990, while Pamela is at work, Pelletier...
August?
Yeah.
Damn.
Months later.
Damn.
He was murdered May 1st. This is August 1st. Pelletier and the police captain Jackson walked into her office at work. Pam is still oblivious. She's like, what's up? Like, just think they're there to shoot the shit.
This is old news now.
He said, well, Pam, I have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news is that we've solved the murder of your husband. The bad news is you're under arrest.
Oh, my God.
I'd be so thrilled to say that.
I would just, like, I would be thinking about what I was going to say the whole time.
100%.
Like, I got, this one has to land. This is it right here.
So he says that, and she says, what for? He said, first-degree murder. She's still like, certainly this is not happening. I have committed the perfect crime.
Yeah.
I've only told 4 teenagers. So Pam was arraigned in Derry District County Court and jailed. So this was a huge trial. First of all, just talking about it sounds insane. A teacher, she wasn't really a teacher.
But, yeah.
A teacher who seduces a student and convinces him to murder her husband. And she's facing life in prison. That's a TV show.
Yeah.
That is a TV show. Also, this was one of the first cases in the U.S. that allowed TV cameras in the courtroom also. So this was taped.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Oral arguments began March 4th, 1991. Pamela entered the courtroom wearing a dark blue suit, thinner than she was when she was arrested. She had lost so much weight that her mother had to pin her skirt to fit before court started, which, I mean, that would suck. Jail would fucking suck.
Yeah, I don't want to go.
I don't want to go there. That's not a healthy weight loss. That's like
no.
stress and not eating the shitty food that they give you.
And just being scared all of the time.
Yeah, so she's just not the bitch that she was months ago. Her hair had also recently been highlighted and it was a lot longer. So she's also trying to show out for courtroom TV.
She's like, yeah, okay. But I'm going to look hot.
Jodi Arias asked if she could do her makeup before her mugshot. He was like, no. That's another one I want to do. I always think I want to be done with this, but I'm like, there's so many we haven't done.
I know.
We got to really finish them out if we want to quit.
Do all the good ones.
Assistant Attorney General Diane Nicolosi portrayed the teenagers as naive victims of an evil woman bent on murder, which is kind of true.
Right.
The prosecution portrayed Pamela Smart as the cold-blooded mastermind who controlled her underage sex partner. Nicolosi claimed that Smart seduced Flynn to get him to murder her husband so that she could avoid an expensive divorce and benefit from a $140,000 life insurance policy.
What? That's it?
That's not enough to murder someone. I'm sorry.
$148,000.
$140,000.
$140,000.
Yeah. That's
absolutely not.
In the grand scheme of things, that's not even life-changing money.
No. Can't even buy a decent house with that money.
That just feels like money you would blow on nothing. It's not enough to pay off a house. It might have been enough to pay off her house, though.
But, like, you just have that for, like it's not... Yeah, you can't do anything really cool with that.
Says two people who frequently say, like, $50 would literally change.
Right. Like, for me, yeah, that would be life-changing.
That's not enough to murder Phil
I would make that last... Fuck no! He's worth way more alive than $140,000.
That's like 2 years of Gregg's salary. That's what it's worth. Now you have an additional 50 years if you think you're not going to jail like you think you are to make up all that money from his salary.
Exactly.
That you
no, it would
have.
not. That would not be enough.
No. While Pam acknowledged having a, quote, sexual liaison, an affair, she called it, with Billy, she denied any foreknowledge of the murder. She said that she was only pretending to know about it in her taped conversation so that she could further the investigation.
Oh, she was helping them.
She was with the police the whole time.
Gotcha. She's one of them.
Yeah.
She's on their side. She wants to know what happened.
So she's going to pretend.
Oh, my God. This woman is not bright.
No. But she claimed that the murder of her husband was solely the doing of Billy and his friends as a reaction to her telling Billy that she wished to end their relationship and repair her marriage. She insisted that neither participated in the murder plot nor had any foreknowledge of it. She insisted that she neither participated in the murder plot nor had any knowledge that there even was a plot. She's like, yes, we had an affair, but I told him that I wanted to get back together with my husband, and then he
killed him.
Murdered him. Near the end of her testimony, she spoke out to prosecutor Paul Maggiato and said, if I was guilty, I would have pled guilty and plea bargain like the rest of them did.
Oh, would you though?
No.
Because if you're guilty, you wouldn't have been offered a lot.
Yeah, you really think you're getting away with this. Nicolosi concluded, ladies and gentlemen, we are sure that when you hear the testimony of William Flynn, Patrick Randall, Vince Latomy Jr., Cecilia Pierce, and all the other witnesses that we'll present to you at this trial, that you will come to the only possible verdicts in this case. At the close of the trial, Paul Maggiati will stand before you and he will ask you to return 3 verdicts of guilty. Monday, a week before Mrs. Smart is scheduled to go on trial for soliciting the teenagers to kill her husband, the 3 pled guilty to second-degree murder. So they all pled guilty.
Yeah.
Billy's lawyer, Jeffrey M.K., said the 3 students had originally been charged with first-degree murder, which carries a mandatory life sentence, but had been allowed to plead guilty to the lesser charge, which carries a sentence of up to life in prison. The reduction was part of an agreement with prosecutors that the youths testify at Pam's trial.
And aren't they minors?
Yeah.
So can't you not, like...
That wasn't a thing yet. I think that's new. Because that comes up when we do these all the time.
In the 90s.
Yeah, a lot of...
that changed in, like, the early 2000s.
Yeah, like...
Maybe not even early. Like, 2008-ish.
Yeah, you can't sentence juveniles to life in prison without parole or something. Something like that. For the first time, the public would hear the first-hand account about what happened that evening. Billy made a particularly effective witness, soft-spoken and sometimes sobbing on the witness stand.
Oh, my God.
He's a kid.
This is really sad for him, honestly. He was in love with her.
He thought they were going to be together forever.
And he's like, I did exactly what she wanted me to do. And now look at what is happening to me.
What the fuck happened?
Oh, no.
In Billy's riveting testimony, as he knelt before the jury, showing them the way that it happened with Gregg that night, he said, I cocked the hammer back and just pointed the gun at his head. He said, nearly whispering, his head bowed. I just stood there for 100 years, it seemed like. I said, God forgive me, and I pulled the trigger.
Oh, my God.
After a 14-day trial that culminated on March 22nd, 1991, after 13 hours of deliberation in the Rockingham County Superior Court, Pamela Smart was found guilty of being an accomplice to first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and witness tampering. The tampering stemmed from Pamela's coercing
Take your time.
Okay, the tampering spread from Pamela trying to convince Cecilia to not say anything or to lie.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
They didn't even play around and add statutory rape to that.
That is kind of shocking. Probably not.
Because then, like,
probably,
well, I mean, it's first degree murder. She's never going to get out. But I'm like, but then even if she did,
yeah,
she'd have to be a sex offender for the rest of her life.
I'm sure that was like a whole other thing.
Yeah.
That they would have had to like try her for and like get other witnesses.
Probably have to do it separately from the whole thing.
Yeah. Judge Gray immediately sentenced her to life without parole. Gregg's mother, Judith Smart, exclaimed, "Thank you, God," upon hearing the verdict. Fowler, just out of jail and probably wanting the money, was also involved in an early attempt to ambush Gregg Smart and was waiting in the car with JR the night Gregg was killed. Although in his affidavit he claims that he was not aware of any murder and he had just gone along for the ride, his failure to report the attempt and of his cleaning the murder weapon cost him 30 years in a separate prosecution.
Wow.
He didn't even do anything.
30 years?
Yeah, for driving the car, not reporting it, and then tampering with the murder weapon.
Holy shit.
Flynn and Randall, certified as adults, turns state evidence in January, received 40 years. Vince Latomy got 30 years. It was their testimony, along with Welch's statements and Pierce's tapes, that ended up being the most incriminating. On April 1st, 1991, Pamela gave a newspaper interview from prison where she said that she truly did not think the sentence was even an option.
Of course she didn't.
She said, "I thought there were two options. I would be found not guilty or there would be a hung jury."
Oh my God.
She was quoted as saying in a telephone interview with the Boston Globe from the New Hampshire State Prison for Women that I never conceived this would become a reality. She truly thought, there's no way. There's no way. She said that I feel like a victim of this brutal media blitz. She has maintained her innocence. She's one of those. She has never said she had anything to do with this. She said, because of all the media attention, the public's opinion of me was one of guilt. The jurors came from the public, and to say the media didn't at least have some kind of subliminal effect on them is the most preposterous notion I've ever heard. The fact that they were not sequestered right from the start blows me away. Judge Douglas Gray did not sequester the jury until the day after it began deliberating, which is kind of crazy.
That is kind of crazy. Something like this.
Because the media, I'm sure, was tearing her apart.
Oh, absolutely.
Some sexy teacher who seduced
And there's
her.
like kids involved.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Be a big thing.
I believe they would have come to the same conclusion.
Absolutely.
But that is kind of weird.
It could have taken away this argument from her.
Yeah. Pamela Smart said she was also disappointed that her mother-in-law, Judith Smart, criticized her for reacting strangely to the killing. She said, "I'm sorry if I reacted wrong, but nobody gave me the 22-year-old widow's handbook." So I'm sure her mother-in-law was like, "You were acting very fucking weird after he died. That was not normal. That was not normal behavior." Also going on the week of April 1st, 1991, I think, Pamela was scheduled to face charges for allegedly trying to hire someone in prison to kill Cecilia Pierce. Because they never learn.
Oh my God. This woman.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of information about that because she obviously didn't find someone to murder Cecilia Pierce and she's already in jail forever anyway. But yeah, she tried to hire someone to murder Cecilia for turning on her. In the New Hampshire prison, Pamela says she's been able to wear her wedding ring, but when she came to Bedford Hills, she says it wasn't allowed because it had a diamond setting. She gave it to her mother to hold for her. At that moment, 3 years after her husband's murder, the ring meant something to her, something she wanted to keep, she said. She said, "Why wouldn't I? I mean, I'm still married." Well, debatable.
No, that's confusing. He's dead.
No, that's confusing. What's that from?
Silver Linings Playbook.
Oh, that's right. Within a few years of Pamela's transfer to Bedford Hills, her eye socket was fractured in an attack by two fellow inmates. She had to have a plastic plate surgically implanted and lost feeling on the left side of her face. One of the prison guards, according to Smart, sexually assaulted her in 2003 and took photos of her in lingerie in the same poses she'd struck in the photo shown to the jury at her trial.
Oh, man.
I don't know why I didn't put that in there. That was another big thing. When you look up this case, and I think she took these pictures like for Gregg. Like they were like normal,
like boudoir type.
Yeah,
stuff.
but they like were in all of the newspapers.
Well, that's fucked up.
Yeah,
they shouldn't have a right to that.
Unless they were for Billy, I can't remember.
Either way, I feel like that's very revenge porny.
Yeah. So she's saying that guard made her take all of those things. She says she says that he threatened to kill her family if she told anyone. The photographs were later published by the National Enquirer. from the prison. So, like, that actually happened. And the guard
Jesus.
ended up dying anyway, so nothing ever happened there. That same year, she earned a master's in English literature from Mercy College. It was her second after having earned a master's of science and law degree from the Southern California University for Professional Studies 2 years earlier.
What is the point? What are you going to do with it?
She's getting out, man. She's getting out.
She's setting up her future.
She was working on a doctorate in ministry, she says.
What?
Ministry.
Okay.
She's going to be a sexy youth
I
pastor.
thought that's what you said.
She says, I don't have time to be depressed. In an interview, she says...
She's very, very busy.
She's busy. She doesn't have time to sit there and be sad for herself. She's getting out. She's going to have a lot to catch up on.
Oh my God. This woman is unwell.
She served as a grievance representative and an HIV prevention counselor for fellow inmates and dreamed of working for the United Nations in HIV prevention if she's ever released. I do not think you can work for the UN if you are a felon.
I think she's a sociopath. The more you talk, she don't got all her marbles up there.
No. Pam has received thousands of letters from all over the U.S. Her only regrets are any past actions that had some effect on the outcome of her case. She said, of course, I regret ever being involved with Billy Flynn. That was a horrible mistake that I am paying a terrible price for.
Oh, my God.
As I am innocent of any involvement in the plot to murder Gregg. Pamela maintains, like I said, that she never asked Billy to murder Gregg. If that's how Gregg took their conversations about them not being able to be together because of Gregg, that is his problem. She's like, if he took it that way, that's on him. That's not what I said. So she's like, listen, we can't be together because of my husband, but I didn't mean murder my husband so we could be together. That's her story. She's stuck to this. She has never wavered in this, which I think is
insane.
Delusion. Her appeal in 1991 was denied.
Mm-hmm.
In 1997, she saw a whole new trial, which was also denied. In 2004, the state of New Hampshire denied her request to have her sentence commuted. Raymond Fowler and Vance Latomy were paroled in 2005 after their sentences were reduced by 3 years. Both were in the getaway car outside the home where Gregg Smart was killed, and Latomy provided the murder weapon. Pamela Smart made a request for a pardon hearing, which was denied by the state in 2005. Billy Flynn and Patrick Randall were released on parole on June 4th, 2015, on Billy Flynn's 41st birthday.
Oh, my God.
He went to jail when he was 15.
Oh, my God.
41. I feel that's a bit... I know he is the one who murdered
I know,
Gregg,
but
he was down bad.
He was troubled.
Yeah. He was manipulated.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, at least it's still young enough. Like, he can...
Yeah.
Hopefully he's living a life.
I hope so. Flynn got married while he was behind bars.
Oh.
He has a teenage stepdaughter and has earned his GED and electrician's helper license.
Oh, well, good for him.
So, feminists rallied behind Pamela after this. I mean,
Jesus Christ.
when you're looking at it, the people who actually murdered Gregg are now out of prison, and Pamela is still there.
But they were 15.
Yeah, they would have never done this had they not met Pamela. They
Absolutely
were not.
That's what I was thinking. Like, they should never be in prison for life. This never would have happened. They weren't murderers.
Yeah, they thought it was an injustice. Not saying I think that. I don't know how to feel. It is a weird situation when you say it out loud.
When you're 15 and you think this is the only... She loves me just as much as I love her.
And they truly don't know what they're doing. They don't know the extent of what it means to murder
someone,
a person.
end their life.
Yeah, they have no idea.
15?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And Pamela was also very young, though. They say she was only 22. She had been cheated on. And she maintains, like, had she not been cheated on, she would have never even been looking at Billy Flynn.
Well, that's not true.
I'm not sure I buy that. But this is just really a group of people who had no long-term thoughts. No thoughts. They're like, let's handle this.
So, okay, I would say I don't think she needs to be there for life.
I don't think so either.
But the whole trying to hire someone to kill Cecilia.
That's why you don't do that. Because now people are like...
I'm like, are you a killer? Do you just want people to die?
I can't say that, like, she's
not
be a
a
repeat
danger.
offender.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
so
when we were talking about Lyle and Eric, I don't believe they're a danger to society.
Correct.
I don't think they do anything like that ever again. Pamela? That was some weird shit you did.
Exactly. And like,
that was like evil. For no reason you murdered your husband.
Yeah. Like,
he cheated on you. It's the worst thing you came up with.
You could have left.
Yeah.
He wasn't actually beating you. He was like nothing.
No.
It wasn't like that.
No. But people rallied for her after the last of the boys got out of prison. They were like, this is insane.
I don't know.
It's weird.
Should she be out on parole?
Maybe. I don't know. A fiction book was written about this case and made into a movie starring Nicole Kidman, To Die For. Neither made Pamela look great. The author of that book wrote the governor concerning her imprisonment. He said, to whatever extent Pamela Smart's chances for a fair parole hearing might have been affected by my novel, I trust that you will do what you can to rectify that situation by giving her the same second chances granted to the others involved in this case. So there is like a whole fictional thing, and I want to watch it because I bet you it's good. Because what the fuck is this story? To Die For.
I know.
So even the author who wrote a book that made her sound terrible was like, but that's not what I really think.
Yeah.
Among those who have written to the state on her behalf are Gloria Steinem, queen feminist. She's like top of the top. If feminists were like a coven, she'd be the supreme. Vagina Monologues playwright Eve Ensler and Kate Millett, the groundbreaking author of Sexual Politics, who visited Smart in prison before her death, strongly proclaimed her innocence. So she's got like feminists in her corner about this, fighting for her. There was a 2014 HBO documentary called Captivated, The Trials of Pamela Smart, which I would also be interested in watching.
Yeah.
Featured a juror who would have hung the jury if she'd known Smart would be sentenced to life in prison, which I feel is important to know.
Yes, I think you have to know, like, what?
Like, yeah, you're guilty, but, like, I'm not saying I think this, but I think it's important for them to know, like, but if you say
are you going away for 20 to 30?
Yeah.
Are you
reasonable.
never coming out? Yeah. I feel like I would need to know that.
Greatly skews how people think, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially in a case as controversial as this, where she didn't actually do anything.
Neither did Charles Manson.
Neither did that motherfucker. Meanwhile, in a 2010 interview, Gregg Smart's family said that without an admission of guilt from Pamela Smart, they would fight to keep her in prison for life. She said if it wasn't for her, Gregg would still be here, which is true. Because Billy Flynn would have never murdered Gregg.
And she's never, like, that's the thing, is she has never taken any kind of accountability.
Never.
Which is why I'm like, why? Who's to say you're not going to do something else bad because you don't think you did anything bad?
Yeah. Gregg's father, Bill Smart, said she can be remorseful about going out with Billy Flynn. I'm just saying to her, if she ever admits that she did it, we may have other considerations to talk to her about at that time. But, like, until you just say that you did this for whatever reason, I don't want to talk to you. In 2016, Cecilia gave her first interview in 2 decades. She had never done an interview. She was 42 and a registered nurse living in Albany, New Hampshire. She says of Smart, I wish I never met her. You think?
I fucking bet.
And nothing even happened to Cecilia.
Yeah. Oh my God. Can you imagine being like, I found this like surrogate big sister mother figure?
Yeah.
Turns out she was
a murderer.
Yeah.
She was statutory raping my friends and murdering her husband.
Yep.
Okay, so Cecilia says that she wished she never met her. Cecilia's last name is Blake now. So she says, I'm sure they're waiting for the governor to change. When I saw her trying to get her sentence reduced, it makes my blood turn cold. Cecilia insists that she needs to admit her guilt first.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Just say you did it.
Say you did it. Even if you regret it. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Or even if you don't regret it. Just at least say you did it.
Yeah, Cecilia goes on to say, like, they would do all this stuff together. She could be so fun and charismatic, but, like, she believes that she had this goal in mind the whole time. Like, she insists that Pamela wanted a divorce, like, the whole time, but she was too scared that Gregg was going to take the dog and, like, the furniture that she loved.
Why would he take the dog if it was a gift? If it was a real divorce,
yeah, and
they wouldn't have let him take the dog if it was a gift.
And I'm certain he loved her more than she loved him.
Yeah.
That had to be clear. He wasn't going to take your dog. Blake says, if Pam could be 100% honest, I myself would recommend to the governor that she shouldn't be in jail anymore.
Right. I agree with that.
She was interviewed, Pamela was interviewed for the Washington Post again in 2019.
Damn.
Her interviewer said you could hear her coming before you could see her, and they nicknamed her Tinkerbell because she flits from one place to the other like the cartoon fairy, always in a hurry, always in motion, trying to forget that she has all the time in the world. She's like booked and busy. She's like, God, I don't even have enough time. She has nothing but.
Oh, shit. This woman is
And at this point in her life, she has spent more years in prison than not in prison, which is crazy to think about because she went to jail when she was 23 years old.
How old is she? Wait. She went to jail in what, 91?
Mm-hmm.
It's
2019.
Okay, math.
I can't do it because I can't do 9 and 1s like that because they're so...
I just can't do it because I can't. 2019
minus
1991.
Yeah.
28 years.
So she spent 28 years in prison.
So she's now 22 plus 28. At this time, she's 50 years old.
Okay. Probably not. That math probably got skewed up.
Whatever.
Software. As I said earlier, she admits to everything except her responsibility in the actual murder of Gregg, which, as everyone said, is probably a large part of why she is still there. A key in commutation cases is whether the inmate has accepted responsibility and expresses remorse. Smart finds this to be kind of impossible because she doesn't want to admit to a crime she didn't commit. So she's like, I don't want to play the charade of doing what you want me to do to get out of here when I didn't do it. So by doing that, I'm going to have to admit that I did something I didn't do.
Almost 30 years later, and you just lie. That's what you're doing this whole time. Just lie then. Just pretend you feel bad. Jesus.
The Attorney General's vigorous opposition to her current request emphasizes that she has still not accepted full responsibility. So everyone is saying, just say you fucking
You know what this reminds me of?
What?
This reminds me of one time as a kid when I told my stepmom I hated her. And all I had to do was say I was sorry and I would get my phone back.
You
and I
wouldn't
have my phone for weeks.
Weeks? You were like, nope.
And then finally one time we were in the car and I'm like, you know, I don't hate you and I'm sorry. I got my phone back the next day.
It was that easy.
It was that easy.
Smart has blamed the news media, the witnesses, trial judge, and the prosecutors. Her attempts to blame others for her incarceration are a reflection of not only her guilt, but her inability to be rehabilitated, the Associate Attorney General said. She says that she'd be lying if she admitted to orchestrating her husband's murder, but part of what the Attorney General writes is true to her. Like, I guess she's admitting she does blame a lot of other people for this. She said, for many years, it was the whole world's fault, not mine. I think on some level in my brain, I didn't want it to be my fault. Now, she says, I do feel responsible for my husband's death. When I think about it, I have to say that all of this is my fault. Had I not made that initial horrible decision to have an affair, nothing would have happened. So she's saying, like, okay, I'll accept responsibility, but no, I didn't do that.
It's just because I had an affair. The rest of it, see, she's still saying the rest of it was like him. Like, yeah. Billy did this.
Yeah, she said, it is my fault because I introduced Billy to our family. When she appealed for a sentence reduction in December 2021, Pamela said, I offer no excuses for my actions and behavior. I am to blame. She added, I regret that it took me so long to apologize to the Smart family, my own family, and everyone else. But I think that I wasn't at a place where I was willing to own that or face that. I was young and selfish, and I wasn't thinking about the consequences of what I was doing. Obviously, you murdered your husband. According to People, Smart's appeal for a reduced sentence was denied in March 2022, and now she's asking for a New Hampshire Supreme Court to hold a hearing about her request. In the state's response, the Associate Attorney General wrote that Smart has told a false narrative for over 30 years, and just because she's decided to change that now does not mean that she has truly changed and fully acknowledged all the crimes she committed as an accomplice and conspirator in her husband's murder and the perpetrator of witness tampering. He also wrote, decades of lies cannot be undone in an instant by newfound claims of remorse and vague acceptance of responsibility, which is true. It is a vague acceptance.
Yeah, I feel like she needs to, like, really come clean.
Do it.
Say everything you did. Mm-hmm. Like, you gotta give it your all.
Do a Nancy Grace 2020 type of get on TV and say, I
shouldn't have done this.
Billy to murder my husband. Like,
I thought it was my only way out.
Yeah, whatever. But you can't just, I think she thought, like, okay, well, I'll just say it is my fault.
Okay, fine, you're right.
But I didn't tell him.
All right, fuck, sorry. That's what this sounds like.
She told the Washington Post that I would rather be put to death than die in here of old age.
Well.
Be careful what you wish for. Pamela Smart hopes that the state Supreme Court will allow her to resubmit her petition to the Executive Council. Her attorney, Mark Sisti, filed a petition with the New Hampshire Executive Council contending that Smart's rights under the New Hampshire Constitution were violated when the council refused to even consider her request for a hearing on her petition. Sisti wrote that the refusal is tantamount to a sentence of extermination as it prevents her from being deemed fit to return to society and thus forecloses any chance at having her sentence altered. So there's like, you have to actually look at her. You can't just deny her request. You have to like do the request and then say no. If a commutation,
I don't know what that word is.
I know like to commute a sentence.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Was commuted.
Yeah, the verb.
Commutation. I would say commutation. It's the only thing that makes sense.
But it's like COMMUTATION. Commutation.
ATION. Commutation. Yeah, that's what it has to be.
I said that wrong earlier then, but whatever.
Whatever.
So if that hearing is ever held, Governor Chris Sununu would then decide whether Pamela Smart should be eligible for parole. Pamela Smart is the only person convicted in connection with Gregg Smart's death still in prison today. If you are so moved to want Pamela Smart out of prison, you can go to PamelaSmart.com and read all about it. Got a whole website to get this woman out of jail. 2 50-minute episodes.
Excellent. Good job.
I think I was getting kind of nervous. I was getting kind of short.
I just don't know.
I don't know either.
I think it would take a lot. Like, I need to see some emotion.
Yeah.
I need to, like, actually know that you know what you did was wrong. Because if she doesn't know what she did was wrong and she doesn't feel any guilt or remorse, what's to stop her from doing something similar again?
Exactly. I don't know about all of that.
And if you're a danger to society, you shouldn't be out.
No. I do maintain, like, it is very odd that the people who murdered Gregg...
See, I don't think it's that odd because they were all minors.
That's true. They were young, impressionable.
First offenders. Billy Flynn was being statutory raped.
Yeah, let's breeze past
but
that.
It also is confusing. Not confusing. She was 22. But, like, I don't know. I don't want to...
He loved her.
Yeah.
He thought he loved her.
It wasn't right. She shouldn't have been doing that.
I think what you're trying to say is he thinks he wanted that.
Yes.
If you asked him, he would say that it was fine.
He was in love with her.
Yeah.
And that she wasn't raping him because he
thinks he wanted that.
Yeah.
If you would ask him now, at the age we are, he'd be like, oh no.
Yeah,
that
I was manipulated.
Completely wrong. I agree.
Man.
I don't know. I don't think she'll ever get out. I don't think anyone will ever. Until she does something crazy.
See, I don't know. In this day and age, I don't know.
Having Gloria Steinem say that.
I know. That's what I think. It was like...
It's misogynistic to keep her in jail and not Billy Flynn. That could hold some weight.
People of influence coming to back her.
Mm-hmm. They're really rolling with the fact that she's the only person still in jail.
Which, I mean, is a valid argument if she were admitting her guilt to all of it.
Yeah.
Then I'd be like, you're right. That is fucked up.
Right. But she isn't.
But she isn't. Shows no remorse.
None. Not a one.
And that's where it ends until she realizes what she did was actually fucked up. Don't just say it.
Yeah.
To get out. Like,
yeah. She fully doesn't believe she did anything wrong.
Yeah. And that's...
And it's telling that she won't even pretend to say it.
Exactly. She really, in her heart,
believes
that, which
this is fine.
Is saying she's not of sound mind and should not be in society.
No.
Because who's to say what she'll do then? I don't want to take that risk.
You don't want to be on the streets with Pamela Smart.
I don't want to be on the streets with Pamela Smart. Fuck no.
Oh, God.
Wow. That was a good one.
I had that one done months ago, but you want to hear the Menendez brothers first. But I was very excited for this one.
That was a good one, too.
That was a good one.
All right.
That's that. Remember, no new episode at the very least next week.
Let us know if you want to hear Covina Christmas.
We'll
if you
throw it up
haven't
there.
Heard it and have any interest. It's a good one. It's an older one, so.
It is older. Don't judge
Who's
us.
to say what we were saying? Like, that's what makes me nervous when we put out like old ones. Like, what was our banter?
I know.
What were we talking about at that time?
Completely inappropriate.
Yeah. And we used to get really drunk during recordings, so.
Yeah. This used to be fun.
This used to be fun.
Now it sucks.
Just kidding. We love you guys. Wouldn't be here if I didn't.
No, absolutely not. I'm a quitter through and through. I love to quit shit.
Me too. All right.
We'll see you in 2023. We're done.
Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, guys. We'll see you next year. Bigger and better. Just joking. We'll be the exact same.
We will be. Maybe worse.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at AlmostPod. If you want an additional episode every week, you can find us at Patreon at AlmostPod.
If you have a case you want us to cover, throw it in a review on Apple Podcasts. You can find merch and all other information at bitchpackmedia.com. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.